some alternative exposures to crypto. So as you guys may know, Bitcoin has recently had quite a nice rally from almost up 25%, 30% over the past couple of weeks. So I think a lot of people are getting excited. Some people want to get in on the action, but maybe maybe you don't have enough money to open up a crypto account or just get fund another account on a cryptocurrency exchange. So with this trading lab, what I thought I'd do is present to you guys alternative ways you can get exposure to crypto through like more of a traditional equity brokerage. So we're going to be talking about some futures products, some ETFs, some like blockchain mining stocks, and stuff like that. So like things that are correlated to Bitcoin, but are not actually Bitcoin or crypto itself. So that's what
Beautiful.
we're going to be
if
talking
you
about.
Have you got the chat open by chance?
See, I don't because
No, that's all right. That's all right. I'll pull it up here because we've hit a nail. All right, we've got a couple of cryptocurrency traders in the chat.
Oh yeah.
All right, so
What are
as
they
they
saying?
say some stuff, I'll bring it up at the bottom here so you're able to see it. But Sasha's come in. I'd love to know how to analyze crypto. I'm still holding LUNC from last year in May when it hit rock bed bottom, made a good 20K from it, and also Al Monita has said, finally, I'm shorting NEAR. It's difficult.
Dude, shorting anything is difficult. Take it from me. I've been getting killed on my short setups here. Yeah, like shorting has been difficult. I don't know. Yeah, it's been difficult, man. Like I'm with you.
Yeah,
We just saw that.
Has also said that Bitcoin US dollar chart is crazy.
It is.
Yeah, if you're not a cryptocurrency trader and you look at cryptocurrency charts, it's scary.
Yeah. Yeah, it's super scary because I mean we've had a pretty much a $10,000 move without any sort of a pullback, or at least not like a meaningful pullback. So even the move that we're seeing right now, I know Bitcoin's maybe down like a very marginal percent. So it's I'm really expecting one of these days we're going to have like a more significant pullback where Bitcoin is down like 5%, maybe even 10%. But it hasn't happened so far. Much to my disappointment.
Yeah, he says with anger.
Yeah.
How good's trading, eh?
And yeah, that's trading. So yeah, let's just move on here. So because I have a lot of slides to get through. I guess we don't have to like go through everything if time doesn't allow. But so yeah, so one of the first instruments you guys can use to get exposure to Bitcoin is the CME Bitcoin futures contract. So this is probably available on any equity brokerage that you guys use. So the CME Bitcoin futures contract, it trades on the CME Globex, which is should be accessible through all major equity brokerages across the world. So this is one way to get exposure to Bitcoin through futures contract. Now, the problem with this instrument is that its contract unit, as you can see, it's 5 Bitcoin. So 5 Bitcoin, that's the position size with the current price. That's like 5 times 37,000. So I don't know the math on that, but it's
yeah, you're looking at close to 200,000, like 150,000 or
yeah, something like that. Yeah. So $150,000 position for Bitcoin. It's a very volatile asset. It can move thousands of dollars in a day, or many percent as well. So if you're talking $150,000 position size, like just you have to consider the risk involved and the volatility involved with using such a big contract. So that is one issue of this. Now, this was like the first Bitcoin futures basically instrument that came out, and I think later they realized that this instrument is a bit big in terms of its contract unit, especially as Bitcoin really started rallying later on in 2020 when we had that big bull run from 20,000 all the way to 69,000.
Yeah.
So now if you don't have the capital or you don't have the account size to handle a traditional Bitcoin futures contract, you can just use a micro Bitcoin futures contract. So this is actually much more reasonable. So the contract unit is only 0.1 of a Bitcoin, which at today's price that would be roughly one contract would equal $3,700 or so. So this is much more reasonable, and I think much more accessible for the everyday retail trader. And yeah, like it says in the description, it's 1/10 the size of one Bitcoin. So yeah, it's a really efficient, cost-effective new way to get Bitcoin exposure.
Beautiful.
And then moving on. So a lot of people don't know this, but we also have Ether futures on the CME exchange. Now the contract unit for this one is pretty big as well, 50 Ether, which at the current price is trading right around $2,000. So that would be $100,000 position on Ethereum, which is slightly more volatile than Bitcoin even. So this one is another very big contract. But guess what, guys? There's good news. There's micro Ether futures, which are sized at 1/10 of one Ether. So that would be a position size of like 2,000 times. So 10% of 2,000. So that's only like what,
200.
$200? Yes, that's weird. I don't know if the CME do they think this through. So
He's called out the CME.
like
I've never witnessed anyone call out the CME and say, "Have you thought this through?"
no, because they basically size it the same way as a micro Bitcoin futures contract, but obviously one Bitcoin is much higher in US dollar value than one Ether.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't make sense to me. Does it make sense to you? Because
Nope.
1/10 is $200. That's
Yeah.
not a lot. All right.
No.
So maybe I don't know. Guys, if you're more sophisticated traders, maybe just stick to the regular Ether futures contract, like the micro Ether, like because you're gonna pay fees for each like contract that you buy, right, on the CME exchange. So if you want like a good position size on Ethereum, like you're gonna have to like purchase like multiple micro futures. So a bit weird. So probably wouldn't be my first choice my first choice of instrument to trade on equity brokerage. But let's move on and talk about some other alternatives that we have. So we have the Bito Bitcoin Strategy ETF. Now, for those who don't know, Bito was basically the first Bitcoin futures ETF that was I think it was released in 2021. And yeah, so this is so key thing to know here, this is not a spot ETF. This is a futures ETF. So essentially what this ETF does is it buys and sells Bitcoin futures contracts that are traded on the CME exchange. So this ETF doesn't actually have any like physical exposure to Bitcoin. So that's why the actual spot Bitcoin ETF that is like highly likely to be passed soon by BlackRock. I think that's going to have a much more significant impact on the market because that ETF is actually going to be, holding actual Bitcoin. So just a little something to be aware of, the difference between the Bito ETF, which is very, it's very liquid. It has a lot of volume. But yeah, I'm curious what's going to happen now with once the BlackRock ETF gets approved, if it gets approved, what's going to happen with the volume of this ETF, because this ETF is probably like the most popular product for people who want to get exposure to Bitcoin without actually jumping onto a cryptocurrency exchange. So I am curious how they're going to interplay with each other. And
just for a quick question to the chat here, did any of you guys invest in ETFs? I know we're all day traders, we're predominantly day traders, and I know predominantly of the chat right now are CFD currency traders. But does anyone look into ETFs? Does anyone trade or invest in ETFs? Let us know in the chat so we know if we're talking to you. Jeremy's just come through and said, "Short Bitcoin, go 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 go." That's I think you're marrying Boris's bias there.
I am not shorting Bitcoin here. No way.
Nah, not shorting it.
No.
Okay, fair enough.
We'll get into that later. But anyway, also with the Bito ETF, you have exposure to options. So actually Bito has a pretty good options market as well. So you can, do all your favorite option strategies like straddles and strangles and debit and credit spreads. Its options market is one of the most liquid for crypto related products. And then guess what, guys? We have a Van Eck Ethereum Futures ETF as well. So this one was actually released very recently, back in just last month on October 2nd. So I took a screenshot. Yeah, as of October 16th, it only had $8 million in net assets. I'm sure it has more now, especially now that even Ethereum has had a big move, crossing over above the $2,000 threshold. And yeah, so essentially, it's very similar to the Bitcoin ETF. It invests in Ether futures contracts, and yeah, that's all. That's all it is. Once again, this is not like a spot Ethereum ETF. It just invests in Ether futures contracts. And by the way, there was some rumors the other week that BlackRock is also, well, it's not a rumor. It's like BlackRock is applying for a spot Ethereum ETF application. We have to wait and see what's going to happen with that. As it relates to the SEC, I think the SEC is going to have a little bit more scrutiny with approving an Ethereum ETF versus Bitcoin ETF, which is very highly likely to be approved very soon.
Mm.
All right, so now I want to go over some more alternatives. So as you guys know, we also have like several crypto mining stocks that you can invest in. I just picked three, the three that are most familiar to me. Those are Rye Blockchain, Marathon, I think it's Marathon Digital Holdings, and we have the Hut 8 Mining Corporation. I just wanted to, I just wanted to show the performance of the blockchain mining stocks versus Bitcoin up to this day. So Bitcoin is up over like 123% now for the year after this big move that we had last month. And then we have Riot Blockchain, which is up 190%. We got Mara up 167% and Hut up 136%. So I guess the blockchain mining stock give you a little bit more volatility, at least this year. So that's one thing to consider. I know a lot of traders that they don't have like a cryptocurrency trading account. They actually get exposure to crypto through these blockchain mining stocks. So another thing to consider. So what did I talk about? I talked about the CME Bitcoin futures contract, the Ether futures contract, the ETF futures, and now we have these basically these equity stocks that mine Bitcoin and other cryptos. So so far,
yeah. A good
there's
question coming
multiple.
through from Jeremy here. Sorry. It said, all depends on the possible crack 2.0. That might be, I don't know if that's a crypto saying or not, but I've got no idea. It says the possible crack KRACH 2.0 of 2025. If it happens, all going to collapse, but we don't know Bitcoin is good refuge.
Honestly, I've never heard of crack.
Okay, so we're both in the dark there? Okay,
I'm sorry. No, but please elaborate, Jeremy. What is that? I'm curious. Maybe I'm not understanding, because I've never heard that term before, and I'm looking at crypto and discussing crypto with other traders and investors pretty much every day. But yeah, please tell me, what is crack 2.0? That sounds very interesting. Anyway, where was I?
Yeah, sorry.
It's all good. So yeah, we got the Bitcoin or the blockchain mining stocks. And then we also have a variety of blockchain-based ETFs that basically invest in not just like blockchain mining companies, but they might invest in basically any kind of company that has exposure to crypto, such as PayPal or even MicroStrategy. So one of the biggest one is called Block. It's the Amplify Transformational Data Sharing ETF. It has assets under management of close to $500 million. So it's a pretty big one. And then like the next, the one I'm going to discuss are the Bitwise Crypto Industry Innovators ETF and then the Global X Blockchain ETF. And then what I'm going to get into the next slide is the actual holdings. But first, essentially the Block ETF. So they, like I said, they invest in professionally selected companies that are involved in blockchain technology. And so 80% of their net assets in equity securities of companies actively involved in the development and utilization of blockchain technologies. Now let's take a look at their holdings. So it's actually pretty interesting because they yeah, so obviously they invest in crypto exchanges like Coinbase, so that makes up good a good amount of their allocation. You know, we have
Mm,
MicroStrategy, we got even Accenture, which is I guess it's like a consulting or accounting company, and then we got Riot, yeah, Riot Blockchain. We got Galaxy Digital Holdings, which is essentially like a crypto investment arm or crypto hedge fund. And then, like I said, we have like PayPal here. So we got a good mix of like very, I guess, like very risky companies like Riot Blockchain and even MicroStrategy. I would consider kind of risky. But then we also have like PayPal, which is almost like a almost like a safe kind of. In my world, it's kind of like a safe equity to hold. It's like pretty big, pretty well known. Um, so yeah, those are just the holdings for this ETF. And then I want to showcase the performance of these blockchain ETFs. So unlike the crypto mining stocks, these guys don't perform as well as
mm.
Bitcoin itself. So we can see Block is only up 44% this year. I mean, that's still pretty good, but it's not like it's not as high as
Would
123%
you,
Bitcoin.
yeah,
Yeah.
would you argue these, while the performance isn't as obviously as great as Bitcoin, would you argue that these are safer or less,
Yeah.
they carry less risk than holding Bitcoin directly?
Yeah, I was just about to say that. So yeah, obviously we just saw the holdings of Block, so they invest in more traditional companies like PayPal or just safer tech stocks, basically.
Mm,
So yeah, this would be more of a safer investment. So you do have a good amount of diversity. So it's not all tied to Bitcoin. It's tied to uh, crypto mining stocks. It's tied to like just companies that have exposure to crypto, like PayPal. And then we have other names like there, like Galaxy Digital, which is like a crypto investment firm. So yeah, there's a good mix of holdings you can get in Block, and that's why it's like returns are a bit lower than Bitcoin itself. But then we have a BitQ, which is also like the second most popular ETF. Its returns are a bit are a lot more closer to Bitcoin at 107%. So, but let's take a look at their holdings, and because their holdings are a bit different. Yeah, so they're basically holding. Um, so most of their holdings are just so Coinbase. MicroStrategy is 10% of their holdings, which is and essentially MicroStrategy. Uh, they basically just hold Bitcoin on their balance sheet. So that's almost like it's basically like a pseudo ETF for Bitcoin right now.
mhm.
So I guess their holdings are much more tied to the actual price of Bitcoin and what happens in the crypto industry. And then we do have like mining stocks like Marathon Digital, uh, and then Riot, and Hot 8 Mining, Bitfarm. So this is a bit more risky of an ETF because it doesn't hold like PayPal and some of the more like traditional tech stocks that the other ETF was holding. So yeah, I guess it's really up to you guys, like what your risk appetite is. This one is holds a lot more speculative names within the crypto industry, while the other one is a bit more balanced in terms of risk. And then yeah, finally, I wanted to talk about MicroStrategy, which now holds 158,000 for 245 Bitcoin, which were acquired at an aggregate purchase price of 468 billion. Uh, at roughly, so I think we talked about this maybe a month ago.
Yeah.
They purchased this at 29,582 per Bitcoin, and we were talking back then, like MicroStrategy and Michael Saylor, they were a bit underwater with their position. But now with Bitcoin trading almost yeah, like
Yeah,
7,000, even a bit
36,000.
higher. Yeah. Uh, so it's trading much higher than this price that they purchased at. So MicroStrategy is sitting very pretty. They're sitting at a multi-billion-dollar profit right now. So yeah, good, good job,
Can
Michael
you
Saylor.
imagine? I mean, Jesus. I mean, what?
Yeah,
First of all, what a bet. Putting $4.68 billion into one asset and holding it. But wow, what a payoff! What a payoff!
yeah, and yeah. The crazy thing is, all this guy does is he invests So like MicroStrategy is actually like a tech software company, but really now it's become like it's basically just a way for people to get exposure to Bitcoin, and that's why all these ETFs are investing in MicroStrategy. Like it's actually like software, has nothing to do with Bitcoin as far as I'm aware. So yeah, Michael Saylor, MicroStrategy there. Michael Saylor himself is kind of like a big spokesman for Bitcoin itself, and you'll probably find many interviews of him on YouTube. He's a pretty interesting guy. Definitely loves Bitcoin for sure.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, and then yes, this was back in August, and yeah, so I mean, this guy he sells his own MicroStrategy shares just to fund his Bitcoin purchases. So this is how much of a believer MicroStrategy and Michael Saylor are in Bitcoin. So yeah, I think this is like my last slide on this Trading Lab. Yeah, this is from the last week.
Beautiful.
So yeah, this is my Trading Lab for this week.
Awesome.
Any
No,
questions,
thanks very
Jordan?
much. It's always good because obviously, from a personal perspective and chat, let me know if you guys agree. Talk to me here because I want to know if I stand alone or whether you guys stand with me. I get scared when I look at the crypto charts, price action wise, that the movements in which they do. And out of nowhere at random times. I mean, look at XRP, shot up 10%. It was just doing nothing, and bang, 10.5%.
Yeah.
It really worries me, but I can see the value in being involved in cryptocurrency and into the future. So it's really good to get the ideas of where we can expose ourselves to these assets without being directly exposed. So I appreciate you running us through that.